Something, happened today that was very touching to me. I was sent a photograph of people at a retreat I did in Brazil almost 2 years ago. And the sweetness, the beauty in people's faces, attending 3 meditations a day, the joy, the radiance of that joy was very touching. And what was a little sad to me is that I haven't really seen most of these people other than Marcia and Daniel, in almost 2 years. And yet at that moment, I mean, there was such a profound connection with the spiritual practice and a deep connection with the spiritual practice that, I just hope to God that whoever was there used it and grew in their life. And it's a kind of thing that's very difficult to understand after going through a weekend like that. Yes, we all go back into the world that we live in, but how do you forget? How do you forget the changes that took place, the power of the energy, the joy, the love? There was so many, I mean, you look at everybody's face, there was just this twinkle of joy and love. And the same thing happened in the retreat here a few weeks ago. People often ask me why I do what I do, and the answer is very simple. I never forget Rudy. I never forget what he did to help me in my life, to transform my life, to set me on a path to a spiritual life, to be more highly connected with higher energy in the universe. And it's out of gratitude, out of simple gratitude, that I'm sitting here today and doing a meditation class with all of you. But when I saw that picture, and there's so many people there that I'm really close with or was close with, and and to see a vision of life that existed in the past, and this part of me just wished, although I can't wish what didn't have, that they just stayed connected somehow to the work, because what existed then and what exists now are so different. And the incredible changes that have taken place over the last year and a half, 2 years, in the depth of teaching and the way that I'm teaching. And it's just amazing. And there's a part of me that's a little sad that these people missed that. They missed that. I mean, I have to also understand it's their choice. I can't choose for them, you know? And some people look at even what I do as, okay, it's another class, it's a seminar. I'll go on to the next one and the next one and the next one and this teacher and that teacher. And I can't stop that either. I mean, if that's in somebody's karma, it's something they're going to have to finally work out. Does anyone have a question over that case? Matsu was in that picture, and Daniel, and then a lot of other people who I remember very dearly, but I don't even know most of their names. And every one of them had smiles on their faces, and their eyes were twinkling, and the love that was coming out of them was extraordinary, extraordinary. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask? I mean, there's a lot of gratitude in me when I come here and I see so many of you that sustain this work, that have a deep need for it and come to truly learn what I have to pass on. You understand? Look, I'm not getting younger. I got to pass this on. I have to really hope and pray that Rudy's work sustains itself in the world. Not just pictures of Rudy on people's walls, but the real essence of his meditation, of the thing that he taught, that double breathing exercise, the power of it, the ability to change and transform people. But it takes consistency of effort in order for that to work. It doesn't work because a person attends occasional classes. It works because there's consistency. It's like anything, you know? You learn things in life because you make consistent effort to learn them. Otherwise, it's just like transient, it just passes through. And this is really, that's the key to all this, is a consistency of doing deep inner work over time, having patience.
Stuart, I have a question. Bob Sink.
Oh, Bob, if you didn't have a question, I don't know what I would do. Come on, I'm just kidding.
So, my understanding is that there's the necessity that the effort that a student makes has to be consistent,
Yes.
but at the same time, the work that's being done is always evolving. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes. The work I am teaching now and the way I am teaching and the depth of openness from which I'm teaching is very different than it was 2 years ago. I can be even talking about the same thing, but you're going to hear them differently because I have changed so much over the last few years, over the last, what, 30 years. My God, I hate to even think of what I was like 30 years ago. It changes. The effort is consistent, but the work itself is in constant flux and change. And enables it one to open to a much deeper element in the work. As I say, one could talk about the exact same thing, but it's not going to come out the same because it's coming from a different place inside. So yes, you're right, Bob. You know, the consistency of effort is essential, but in consistency of effort, the work is changing all the time. The depth of comprehension changes all the time. The connection with spirit changes all the time. The permanence of higher energy is a force that changes all the time. It's permanently there, but it's constantly changing. And I love that. I love that. I mean, I don't want to sit here consistently for 20 years in some stagnant, you know, pool of energy. I couldn't, you know, who could deal with it, you know? Who would want to do it? But the fact that it does change that way makes it miraculous. And the reason it changes all the time is because we're growing all the time. We are changing inside ourselves. So the energy comes to us differently from meditation class to meditation class. So it's kind of paradoxical, consistency of effort to something that is constantly changing. And the reason it's changing is because we're changing. We're opening deeper elements of our consciousness. We're tapping deeper resources of consciousness. Our connection with spirit gets more profound as we do this consistent work. The way we see the world changes. It's kind of wonderful, you know. I mean, it's like a fairy tale. You know, it's like a fairy tale rooted in reality. You know, it's kind of wonderful. And it certainly makes it interesting because why shouldn't we change all the time? Why does everything have to be stagnant and conservative and reaching into the past and the way it was 20 years ago? And it just gets boring and old and tiresome and mediocre. But the fact that the energy is evolving and change makes it wonderful. It makes it a miraculous thing to sit here and open to God. And not to allow one's life to get stagnant. Does anyone else have a question?
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome, Bob. I love your questions. Thank you.
I have a question, Stuart.
Yes, Isabel.
What do I need to do to make sure that I get it and sustain the work?
Can you repeat that?
What can I do to make sure that I get it and sustain the work? Sometimes it feels as if there's something I'm missing or not seeing.
Well, the only answer to a question like that is your need has to be deep enough, Isabel, to truly want a spiritual life. And it has to really transcend all other needs you have of what you do with your life. And if that need is real inside you, then the question is not a problem. You will get it. You will get it. Because it means very deep surrender. The image you have of yourself, who you think you are, what you are, all has to go. And opening to a higher force of energy, you know, means that you have to have room inside yourself for that energy to come into you. Build your system to where you get it. You get it. And it's not some intellectual thing. Oh, I got it, you know, got the answer, you know. It's you begin to live that way. Your life becomes, you know, a marriage of you and spirit. And everything, even in the practical world, is a way that God is teaching us. Because everything in the practical is just transient anyway. It comes and it goes, and you know, it doesn't sustain itself. You know, so we need to surrender in depth. We have to tap a need inside ourselves that makes a connection with spirit, you know, tantamount to everything else, more important than anything else. And then it will nurture everything else and make everything else grow in your life. That need is real. You'll have no trouble getting it. Your whole chemistry will just merge itself with the spirit. And you've got to realize even the practical things in life, earning a living and relationships and stuff like it's all a manifestation of higher energy in the universe. And none of it is an answer in itself. It's all just teaching us how to continue to grow, how to love another human being. You know, to love another human being requires very deep surrender. You have to spend, a day just learning how to forgive other people. That in itself is a pathway to a spiritual life. So all of your practical needs in life, you understand, they're given to you as a way, as steps, literally on a ladder that leads to, higher consciousness. And we need practical things in life. We need things to remind us that we have to grow. But the primary way of getting it, I don't know if you ever get it, but the primary way of, you know, moving forward in a spiritual development is a need. The need to become one with higher energy transcends all other needs. And at the same time, it nurtures everything else in your life. You tap that need inside and sustain it over a long period of time, you will get it. You won't have to get it, you will live it. You will live it. And that's better than getting it, because you don't get this in the mind, you don't get this in the emotions. It becomes a living reality. And as I say, it's, you have this wonderful garden around you and it nurtures every plant in the garden. It all grows. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, thank you. God bless you all. And there'll be meditation tomorrow evening. And as I started today, Sunday, there will be meditation. It's daylight savings time. So I think it goes an hour ahead. I never know which direction it goes in, but I think it's an hour ahead. All I know is that people always show up too early or too late when that day comes around. So try and be on time, set your clocks. And God bless you all. Thank you. And, as I always tell you, you all are my teacher. Everyone needs a teacher. Anyone that says they don't need a teacher is either a fool or an idiot, You need a teacher. You all are my teacher. I come here and I learn, you know? And I don't want to sit on some ivory throne thinking that I am, the manifestation of God. I'm not. I'm Stuart Perrin, kid who was born in the streets of the Bronx, you know? And I learned something in life, and my job is to pass it on. So thank you and bless you all. And there'll be a meditation tomorrow evening. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody.
Thanks, Stuart. Good night.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
Wish I could hug you all, but what to do?
Love you.